having significant disability, went on to achieve great things, and that local hero is Terry Patterson.
Well, I was a singer to begin with, on television twice in 1967. Began boxing at the age of 11 and retired at the age of 30. I was an ABA boxing coach and then retired, took up snooker, was area snooker champion for disabled people, played internationally. I was a professional referee and then became North Tyneside's first World Professional Snooker Coach. I started writing, and to date I've published 55 books and 26 plays.
Welcome to the podcast, and today's guest is Terry Patterson. Welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for inviting me on.
For the second time.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I did was last time we recorded it, and we're time for ages, weren't we? About a couple hours or something. And when I went to play it, there was no fucking sound. So this time I've double checked, and can you see over there the level going up and down?
Going up and down. So
yeah, so that means we're okay today. So mate, I've always wanted to talk to you because I see you on Facebook all the time, and I think your story is like inspirational because like you had a disability. I don't know if you still have that disability.
I do.
So can you tell us? What it was exactly? Because you talked about calibers, and people nowadays don't know what that means.
Yeah, I have what you call a congenital talipes, which is which was then classed as a club foot. Right. Which meant that one foot was distorted, and all my tools were in like that.
Right.
So I needed lots of surgeries to correct that, which culminated in the fact that I had to wear calipers on both legs, which were...
What are they exactly? What are they?
Yeah, they're like a big boot, heavy boot, you know?
Yeah.
With steels that used to go up and attached to my left knee, you know? And I could bend my knee, but I couldn't walk properly, you know, like other kids. When other kids were walking around, I was dragging this leg behind us, you know.
Yeah.
So,
am I right in thinking, because I'm thinking back when I was a kid and I saw people with calibers and that.
Yes.
Am I right in thinking that it was like a platform show or something?
Yes, it was built up, yes, because the other foot was smaller than the other foot. If you've seen the film Forrest Gump.
I've seen it, but I can't remember it.
Yeah, well, Forrest Gump's running away from these bullies.
Yeah.
And the calipers on his legs, he has what they call braces. They call them braces in America.
Right.
The braces come off his legs, and it reminded me of myself when I was his age, you know.
Yeah. No, like that's it to me. I don't know the right term to use because, like, way back, they call them spastics. I know that doesn't sound very good. Like,
well, I had the nickname of Patter the Spacker. That's what
I'm sorry to laugh, like, but I like it. It's so funny.
That's what I was called, Patter the Spacker.
Yeah. So what would you call that? A disability?
Well, in them days it was called a handicap.
Yeah,
you know,
handicap.
You were classed as handicapped, you know. But
they don't use that term now.
They don't. No. They just use disabled now.
So it's all the more awe-inspiring. The fact that you went on to become a boxer. How the hell did you do that?
Well, to be honest, it wasn't easy, as a lot of people might think it would be, but it wasn't, because I couldn't put this foot down on the ground properly. For 2 years, all I did was leg exercises. I was met by an ex-professional called Joe Myers from Burnham Avenue. Yeah, and Joe was very inspirational in helping me overcome my disability, and for 2 years, every night he came from work and we did these leg exercises in the boys' club in North Shields.
I went there for a while.
Yeah.
I was doing boxing there.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I went to the same boxing place as you in Whitley Bay.
Yes.
But I only done the training, I wasn't boxing and all like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take you further back. What was it like at school having this disability?
Oh, terrible. Absolutely terrible. It was a nightmare. Every day was like a battleground because I was coming into school terrified because I was afraid that somebody was going to beat us up because these gangs and, you know, there was gangs in schools in them days and they would come in and give you a smack, you know. And they chased me home. They knew I couldn't run. So they waited until I got a place called the Back of Lane where it was a corporation yard and it was secluded and they would just set upon us and give us a good kicking, you know.
How did that make you feel?
Horrible. Honestly, I felt degraded because my older brother was a good fighter, a good street fighter, and I couldn't. I couldn't fight back. So when I learned to box from Joe, it was like a blessing in disguise because I then learned how I could defend myself from these bullies.
Come on, you motherfuckers! I'm ready for you.
But I had my first fight on what they called the Needle, which was outside Ralph Gardner School. It was a monument.
Yeah, I know where it is. Yeah, it's still there.
It was a patch of grass, and there was a monument there to Ralph Gardner, who was the stalwart of the school, who it was named after. And I had a fight there with a young lad, and I started using my boxing skills. And when he was coming towards us, I was pumping him with a left jab and then a right cross, and
hear that, you motherfucker.
I knocked him down about 4 or 5 times, you know, and his nose was bleeding and his lip was cut. And it was after that he stood up and he shook my hand, you know. That's what they did in them days, you know. After you had a fight, if they had enough, they'd put their hands up and shake your hand, you know. So, and after that, I gained the respect of everybody because they then knew they couldn't pick on us.
Is that where you went to Ralph Gardner?
I went to Ralphie's, the College of Knowledge, it was called. They called it the College of Knowledge because you learn jack shit when you were there.
Do you know, and that's not about me, but I went to Ralphie's in first year.
Yes.
Then I moved to New York and then I had to go to Norham.
Oh, right.
So in 4th year Norham, I got expelled for fighting with the teachers.
Yes.
And in 5th year Ralphie's, I got expelled from fighting with the teachers. To me, school was fucking shit.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, then it was corporal punishment in schools. You know, I mean, I was for the headmaster's door getting 6 of the best for something or that.
Yeah.
Because I would never pay attention in class. I found the schooling in Ralph Gardner was very boring.
Oh.
You know, and I used to stare out the window half the day, you know, and terrible. I never liked the school. I didn't like the way they taught. You know, it was like they wrote something on a blackboard and let you copy it off. You know what I mean? And that's where school was in them days. And if you weren't good and proficient at reading or writing or whatever, you fell behind, you know. But luckily for me, I was pretty good reader. I could read and write, so I was pretty good.
I could, but I just couldn't be fucking arsed. You know what I mean? But I saw you got bullied a lot.
I did, yes. Yeah, I got beaten up a lot.
Did it make you feel shit?
Well, as I say, mentally it didn't do me any good, you know, because I went into myself. I was a very timid boy when I was young.
Yeah.
And as I say, you know, I would come home crying and my dad would get me to put my coat on and then traipse me down to wherever the person was and make him fight him again until I won. You know, that was my dad's philosophy. If you couldn't beat him the first time, you beat him the second or the third time, you know.
It was all different back then, wasn't it?
It was.
Totally.
It was a lot. I mean, where I was brought up, we were very poor in the ridges in North Shields.
That's right.
Which is a little fishing town about 6 miles from Newcastle. For those of you who don't know where it is.
Right.
It was the biggest herring port in the world.
Was it?
You know, yeah.
I remember when I was a nipper, I used to go down to Kane, play out there, and they used to have these massive, like, things that sucked up all the herring.
Herring, that's right.
And it used to go in a lorry, like a back.
That's right.
Like, as if it was cement or something.
Yeah, and we used to collect the ones that used to drop off. We used to run and get them in, put them in carrier bags.
Yeah.
And I used to go around with a bogey, which was like a go-kart.
Yeah.
With a box on the back.
With your stuff in.
And I used to put all the fish in there and then go around the streets and sell them for a penny a dozen. You know, I was a right entrepreneur when I was younger, collecting bottles, you know, people's beer bottles and Puro Mill bottles and newspaper so I could get fish and chips. And, you know, I mean, people were poor. I mean, we were very poor in them days, you know. I'll tell you a funny story, actually. Me mum, I wasn't a member of the Cub Scouts, and my mum bought a Cub Scout uniform from the Staggy the Ragman that used to come round, Jimmy Stagg, and she made us put it on and go around the streets, Bobby jobbing, so I could get some money. My mum was using them for putting them in the television or in the gas meter.
I was in the Scouts, like, it used to be near Queen Victoria School.
Yeah, that's right.
I went there, right, and they used to have these hats, the green,
the yellow
green hats.
The green hat with the yellow bands on and the green socks.
It had like a metal button on top, right?
Yeah.
And I used to whack people's legs with them, and I go, kick you to there, right now.
Oh, God.
Oh, I was a total twat. But, so, you said that school was hard for you.
Yes.
Now, it sounds bizarre. I mean, I'm pretty much in the same predicament as you. School done fuck all for me.
No.
And I went on to come up with a physics theory with equations and all the rest of it.
Done very well.
And you, likewise, have went on to become a prolific writer.
I can actually say that having a disability made us more determined to do and succeed rather than not. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I left school, believe it or not, with no qualifications at all. And
do you know it's bizarre, right? Sorry for putting in. I see parallels to you and me.
Yes.
My disability is I've got bipolar disorder type 1, ADHD and autism.
Yes.
And you have your disability, physical disability.
Yes.
But we both went on to overcome these things, and I've done sporty things and you've done sporty things. Very, very similar. And it's mad. When I hear you talking, and I don't even want to be talking, because I don't want to take time away from you, but I see these parallels between us. And it's fucking amazing, really, when you think about it.
Well, coming from North Shields as well, you will understand what it was like to live in that sort of era, you know, from the 50s.
Yeah, well, I was near the 50s, like,
yeah.
I was born 63, you know.
Well, I was born in 1956, so, you know.
Are you that old? Are you that old? Fuck me.
I'll be 70 next year.
70 next year, honestly.
70 in January, I'm dreading it.
Mate, you look amazing. I have to say.
Thank you very much.
But I
had two paper rounds as well.
Really couldn't. No, so what was I saying? I'm talking about myself as usual. Yeah. I just want to point that out, really. That I can see we're pretty much the same in the way we went on with our life.
No, definitely.
So I know I'm chopping and changing that out of the shop. I want to go back to boxing, right?
Right, okay.
Because that's a hard fucking sport.
Yes.
Physically
very hard.
demanding and all the rest of it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you had this disability.
Yes.
And tell me the first time you went to a gym or you met somebody who
when I met Joe, as I say, who was brought up he lived in the Ridges. He was an ex-professional. He came over on the Windrush in about 1940.
Was he a black dude, was he?
He was a black guy, yeah. And what is unique about the relationship I had with Joe was he was more like a father figure to me than what my own father was. You know, my dad was a hard man. He was a fair man, don't get me wrong, but he didn't have a lot of time for his children. And my dad he worked hard. You know, he did shift work.
And he played hard.
He liked to drink, you know, and he liked to go out and put money on the horses and things that on a Saturday, and that's where he spent the majority of his time.
Blokey things.
But he did like to do stuff with us. We were left to our own devices, sort of thing, when we were young. And, that's the way my dad was. You know, he was very strict at home and strict upbringing, but, you know, I'm here to tell the tale, and I respect people, you know, because of it, you know, the way I was brought up.
So you saw this guy. So
I saw Joe, as I say, and Joe, as I say, he brought me through taught me all the basics, left jab and right cross, and how to defend against blows as well, which has been a great thing, because a lot of boxers, they learn how to throw punches, but they don't learn how to defend against them, you know, and they end up, you know, punchy. You know, and I've been lucky in that respect. I've gone through 22 years of boxing, and
that's amazing.
And I've come out of it the other end, and I still say I'm pretty eloquent when I talk about boxing or anything else.
Aye. So this guy is training you. Was that in a gym or was it not?
It was in the North Shields Boys Club, yeah, and he used to make me run up and down the library stairs.
You know,
in
does
North
that
Shields, yeah.
My first guest on my podcast was Paul Charters.
Yes.
He does that now with kids and that.
Yeah.
Up and down the library stairs, that tough stairs.
Yeah.
He does that too.
Well, we used to do that like 20 times, sprint up, jog down, 20 press-ups at the bottom and then back up again, you know.
Yeah.
And that strengthened your legs. The tiger stairs, which was further up where the bank is, I used to use that as a warm-up. So we used to run up and down there, you know, 15, 20 times before we even started, you know, doing the library stairs. You know, which was the big one. And it was, it was hard work, but it paid dividends, you know.
Can you remember your first ever fight?
I can, yes. I boxed somebody called Swales from South Yorkshire. And I was dressed like somebody from the film Kess. Young Casper from the film Kess with a pair of long football shorts on, a pair of primsels and my dad's string vest tied with a great big knot in the back. And this guy that was boxing, the Swales, came in the ring with these silver trunks with green stripe. You know, it had all these badges on and a nice vest with these...
A proper
with
pro
these
that.
Yeah, with his club vest on, and, you know, he had everything, you know. He has me, I look like one of the dead-end kids. But anyway, I went to my corner and Joe said, doesn't matter what he looks like, he says it's how he boxes, you know. And Joe used to always say to me, never look for the guy's strength, because when he pops on the chin, you'll know how hard he hits. He says, always look for his weaknesses, what he does. He may drop his left hand, he may drop his right hand, you know. He may have a problem with his feet, you know, like the way he moves.
Yeah, exploit it.
Yeah, exploit. If you find a mistake, he says, punish him. You know, that's what he used to say. And
hit him with a stick.
Yeah, and that I did that, as I say, the Swales had a habit of stamping with his left foot before he threw a jab.
So you know what's coming.
So he lifted his foot off the canvas. So every time he lifted his foot off the canvas, I was hitting him with a left jab, you know, or I was hitting him with a 3 or 4 punch combination. And I ended up putting him down. So I put him down in the first round. And I come back, I thought, well, I've won that round. So I went out again the second round, I put him down again with a left hook. I was a good left hooker. Now I should have been a southpaw by all accounts because I'm left-handed.
Yeah. Is it not your disabilities?
Because of me disability, Joe taught me how to box orthodox. Right. So me strength was in my right leg. So people don't realise this, that punching power doesn't come from the size of your arms or your biceps and all that. It comes from your legs. So you propel your speed and your motion.
How you swivel.
How you swivel through what you call your central axis, and you push through like that. Nice. And that's how you get your power in your punch.
Yeah. And I remember, like I mentioned to you, I never actually seen my Uncle Johnny, but I used to hear stories about him.
Yes.
Of him on that.
Yeah.
And what he used to do for his legs, because it was all in your legs, like you just said.
Yes.
He used to bunny hop everywhere.
Oh, yes.
And that is, I did that in Medhamsey Detention Centre.
Yes.
And I tell you, they kill you bunny hops.
Oh, yes. We used to do hands on your head, you know, and just use your legs and hop around the gym. But we did that, and we also did sit-ups over a vaulting box.
Yeah.
The coach would sit over your legs and you would put your hands behind your head and then come up and touch your knees with your head, you know.
Yeah.
But we did all that. I mean, it was hard training, you know.
You knew my Uncle Johnny, didn't you?
I did. Johnny lived 2 doors away from me. And my dad was a great boxing fan, my dad. And my dad did a little bit of boxing when he was younger with his brother, John. And he used to talk about boxers from the past, like Johnny Miller, Stan Hawthorne, who went and fought Dave Charlie for the British Lightweight Championship, I believe. And I think Johnny boxed Dave Charlie as well for the title.
I know his fight histories are online.
Yes.
And I was told about that he fought the European champion,
All right.
Guy Grazia, and drew with him. And it's in his boxing history.
Oh, great.
Apparently it was that good a fight. People were throwing money in there in that ring.
The only trouble with Johnny was I think he was too small at the weight.
Yeah.
He was boxing as a welter, I think, and he was only about 5'4", 5'5".
Get away, was he?
He wasn't that tall, no. He was stockily built, you know, but like myself, I progressed from boxing from light flyweight up to light middleweight, and I was just too small as a light middle. They were all 6 foot odd, you know. Oh yeah, they're big lads, you know. But there was other boxers like Geordie Casson, who my dad talked about, and Manny Burgo Senior, who lived across the road from us, whose grandfather had a piggery.
Did he?
And they had a big pig wagon, you know, this wagon they used to have outside with the dustbins, which they used to go around and collect swill for, and it stunk to high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Manny Burgo, the son, when he was boxing.
Yeah, well, I taught young Manny, the junior, how to box when I was at St Edwards.
Yeah, I'm sure around about that time, because he was well known in North Shields, he was like a local hero.
Yes.
I think he was in the top 5 for heavyweights at the time.
Oh, he was.
But
he won the Jack Solomon's challenge, and he won something like £10,000. He had to box 5 people in the one night.
5?
He had to box 5 people in one night, and he won £10,000, which would be the equivalent of about maybe 70,000 or 80,000 now.
Yeah.
You know, it was a lot of money.
I used to see Manny all the time when I was working in a power station.
Yes.
He's a nice bloke.
Yes.
Big shout out to Manny.
Yes.
And he's I think it's his nephew. What's his name again?
Lawrence Asaki.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his second name.
Yeah.
I've met him and all, and he seems a nice bloke.
Oh, they're all nice fellas.
He was on the British team with
He was Team GB. He's now pro. He's boxing pro. I think he's won. About 6 of his contests up to now.
He was with Joshua.
Oh, Anthony Joshua, yes.
Anthony Joshua.
Right.
He was in the same GB
he was
team.
in the same. Oh, he was, yes.
He's a nice bloke, him as well, you know.
Yes.
So big shout out to him.
Yeah. I fought this kid called Swills, and I put him down 3 times, and I come back to the corner expecting to win, and the other guy's hand was raised, and I couldn't believe it.
Oh, I bet you were fucking gutted.
I was gutted, absolutely gutted, and I had to come back, and I say in Shields, you know, I mean, everybody wanted to know if you had won or lost. It didn't matter how many times you had put the kid down, you know, the result was all a thing that mattered, you know.
Oh, you know.
And of course, I had to come back. I just said I lost, you know. I didn't go in.
Did I would have? You fucking bastard.
Aye, and they went, oh, you lost. I went, They went, pat on the spack, I lost, you know. So I was, my street cred went right down the pond, you know. So after that, it made me more determined again to succeed. And the next fight I had was with a lad called Conor McWilliams from Newbiggin Hall, and I stopped him in the second round. I wasn't going to wait to judges. I just went out and I pummeled him with a left hook, and I got him in a corner, and I never let him out. I just kept on hitting him with left hooks and right hands and body shots until he dropped, you know.
Do you know boxing?
Yes.
Like I say, I've done a little bit of training, not like what you've done. What is it? You see, the reason I didn't like the boxing training, I thought there was a lot of running involved. Now, I'm not a runner, like.
Yes.
Would that be right in thinking that?
Yeah. Every morning I used to have to get up and run 5 miles or more. You know, as I got older, I ran more miles, long distance running, and a lot of sprints and jogging, like what they call fatlet running. You know, like sprints, jog, sprint, jog. And how I did that was I used to run from sprint one lamppost, jog the next lamppost, sprint the next lamppost, jog the next lamppost. You know, and that's the way I ran, you know, to increase my second wind and me, or your stamina as it's called, you know. because you get what you call an oxygen debt, you know, where your muscles get tired, you know, and what happens is your arms start dropping and dropping. That's what happened to Frank Bruno.
All right.
Because of his muscle definition.
Too much muscle, that's what
Too
my
much
father used to
muscle.
say.
His muscles were that heavy that he was just dropping and dropping and dropping. And of course, he had no protection, and you know, he got clobbered, and that was it. He was put out, you know.
Fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, Sheila's like this. There is like local heroes. And when I was younger, when I was 16, I was on this. You know, when you get in trouble with the law and you have to do this community work thing.
Yes, yes.
And I was on there, and I went to work with these people from the council. And on that group of people was a lad called Isaac Decker.
Oh, yes, Isaac.
No, not Isaac. Jeff Decker.
Jeff Decker.
Jeff
Yeah.
Decker.
Well,
what a
both
funny
of
man
them
he
boxed.
was.
Yeah.
I tell you what, like, I don't watch loads and loads of boxing, but
Yes.
I remember being in Whitley Bay, in Time Out, in a pub,
Yes.
and he was on screen, and it was one of the best boxing fights I've ever seen in my life.
I think it was on World of Sport.
I'm not sure, but he was amazing.
I think he got the fight of the year for fighting someone. I think it was Marvin P. Gray. I think he fought for the area.
Do you know what they're calling
Light
him?
welterweight title.
You know what they're calling him? The veteran.
The veteran, yeah.
The veteran. That's
Well, he
what
would,
they are.
because he had a lot of amateur contests like myself. You know, we were boxing 2-3 times a week.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Christ almighty, you seen
Yeah,
them
yeah.
nowadays.
I know.
The 6
They
months
wouldn't,
off.
they wouldn't allow it now. I mean, the things that we did in them days, I mean, I wouldn't have even been allowed to box with a caliber on, I think, now, because of the stringent medical rules. You know, I mean, I had to go to a surgeon because my own parents, they wouldn't sign the medical forms for me to box.
Yeah.
So I went on there, I walked up to Gosforth, to Newcastle, and I found a penny on the ground. And I used the penny to get on the bus to go to Gosforth, outside of Salters Road,
Right.
where Sanderson's orthopaedic was. And I waited for nearly 3 hours to see Mr. Slack, who was my surgeon. And he has me doing press-ups and skipping. I took my skipping ropes up there, and I was doing a little bit of shadow boxing, you know. And he said, "You're good enough to box for me, son." And he signed me form, and that was it. I was able to
The
box.
power
you know?
of influence.
Yeah, and I was only 9 then. At the
9?
time. I was 9-year-old, yeah.
You Raj.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you couldn't box until you were 11.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I spent 2 years training.
Yeah.
So that 2 years was a great foundation for me
Oh,
to
absolutely.
learn all the skills that I needed to go into the ring, you know,
Yeah.
and compete.
That is absolutely amazing. Do you know what it is? It's like, I would imagine you're someone like me, if you've got something in your head, you just go for it.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? You just go for it.
I
regardless.
wanted to be a world champion. That's all I dreamt about, was being a world champion. I wanted to be like the hero. My hero was Sugar Ray Robinson, who was before my era, but
Sorry, I just couldn't in
yeah.
your head.
It was before my era, but he was the greatest boxer I've ever seen in my life. You know, he just had all the skills. He's the only man I know that could move away from someone and hit them with a hook and knock them out, you know.
Now, this is something not linked to this, but I'm going to be doing a podcast about me family tree, which I studied.
Ah, yes.
I studied for 10 years. The name you just mentioned, he was beaten by somebody who was connected to my family, my Miller family, and that was, what was his name again? Oh, bloody hell, what was his name? Shit. He beat Robinson.
Lamotta?
No.
Um,
What's his name? I'm going to quit this video. What was his name? Oh, that's it. The guy's name, who was linked to my family tree, is Randolph Turpin.
oh, Randy Turpin, yes,
Yeah,
I remember the Turpin family.
He was seen one of my family members, right? But I will go in that in another podcast. So, getting back to what you were saying,
He was the 64-day hero, by the way.
I don't even know what that was.
Why they call him the 64-day hero was when he beat Sugar Ray Robinson, you had to defend your title 64 days later, or you were stripped.
Yeah.
So he
Was
fought
stripped.
Robin. Yeah, they were stripped of the title.
Yeah.
So what happened was he fought Robinson again and got pummeled.
Oh,
he got pummeled. From
but he did win it though.
I did win it.
Now you know how he started out. I'm going off thingy, but he used to go. You know the fairs when they used to have boxing bouts.
Oh, I did. I went to booths. Yeah.
He was on these. It's well documented.
Yeah.
But I
Stan Taylor's boxing booths in on the town ward.
Did you used to do it?
Yeah.
That sort of thing, aye?
Oh yeah.
Fucking mental.
$5 a go.
So
very good.
So you won that fight.
And I went on, as I say, we used to box 2-3 times a week. Sometimes, I think I boxed Conor McWilliams 10 times altogether, and I beat him 10 times and all.
Did you?
Yeah, I stopped him 3 times and then beat him the rest of the time on points. I think, to be honest with you, I felt sorry for him at the finish because his coach, Stan Jackson, wanted me to, every time I beat him, he wanted us to fight him again.
Yeah.
And I thought, the kid hasn't got the heart for boxing, really. Yeah. But as I say, give him credit where credit's due. Colin fought, and at least he had a go.
Yeah.
Where it takes a man, I always say, there's a lot of people sit in the armchairs and they start giving it this, that.
That's me.
Yeah. But they cannot get in the ring and actually do it.
That's
when you're there and there's 300-400 people there watching you.
Do you know it's just
and you get put on the seat of your pants.
It's exactly the same in bodybuilding, right?
Oh yeah.
People anybody can lift weights. But they go into a competition against others. Now that takes balls.
Yes.
Because you're exposing yourself to all sorts of shit.
Yes.
But you're right. You're right in what you say.
Yeah.
You're very eloquent in how you talk about things because of your writing and all this. And the more you do it, the better you get.
Yes.
You know what they call that? Neuroplasticity.
Oh, right, there you go. See, I didn't know that.
Neuroscience, right? And what it is the more you practice something, the better the connections are, the better that you get at it.
All right.
And this is why, with your writing,
yes,
I bet you're 10 times better now than what you were 10 years ago.
Without doubt, yeah. I mean, if I look back on some of the stories that I've written from the very beginning, when I read them now, I've got to edit them because I think, what a load of rubbish, No, not a load of rubbish, but I think, I can improve that now because I can add things, I can take things out.
Exactly.
I know that process now. When I first started writing, I used exercise books from Woolworths.
Yeah.
And I used to call them bits of scribble I had, And they weren't really stories as such, they were just bits of scribble that I thought up, and ideas and what have you, and I put them down in poetry or I wrote short stories with them,
Yeah.
And it was Tom Hadaway who...
He's well known.
Well, Tom was, because when I left school with no qualifications, I went and I worked on the fish quay as a fish filleter.
Did you? Right.
So my time as a fish filleter down there.
This is too unreal. It's I was a fisherman,
Oh, right.
When I was about 16, 17.
I couldn't go on the boat, I'll tell you why, because I kept on getting seasickness.
Seasick. It didn't bother me, though.
I couldn't tolerate the seasickness, so I had to stop on land, unfortunately.
You're talking about Tom, weren't you?
Yeah, but Tom Hadaway, I was busy doing one of my sprints this day, and he says, Terry, he says, I see you running up and down them stairs. He said, what the hell are you training for? I says, well, I'm a boxer, So I box for the No Shoes Boys Club. And he says, and what do you do in the books? He says, do you write down your training programs? I says, no. I says, I write bits of scribble. I says, and, I like to write bits of poetry. It helps us to relax. And he went, can I have a look at them? And I thought, what the hell does he want to have a look at my work for, So he sat for about 15-20 minutes, never said a word. Then he stood up and he just said, keep writing, kidda, you've got talent,
That would have been boom.
And I was like 15.
How much did that influence you?
A lot. It gave me a lot of inspiration. It wasn't the first stories I had written because I'd been starting to write stories when I was in hospital for a long time,
Yeah. At what age was that?
I think I had my first operation when I was 3-year-old.
All right. It wasn't then though, was it?
No. I was about 8-year-old when I started writing stories, little bits and pieces. But, there weren't anything you could note, But they were good to me. I thought they were good. It was a way of passing time, And it was like we're watching things like Doctor Who and, you know, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and things like that on the TV that gave you ideas where you could write about, you know.
Influence you.
Yeah, of course.
You know, my brother, right, he's a Raji, right? And but he was a bloody good poet when he was younger. He's got loads of poems.
Yeah. I mean, I've kept some of my poems. I mean, some of my work is, I keep them on memory sticks and things like that, you know, because in case I lose them. But some of the poems that I wrote years ago, I've lost. You know, they've all gone out the bin, man. You know, things like that. My mother threw a lot of me writing away. You know, and my record collection when I left home. I had a massive record collection from the 50s and 60s.
Do you know what was the first record I ever bought?
Come on.
Under the Moon of Love by Shubari.
Right, I'll tell you what mine was. Bits and Pieces by the Dave Clark Five.
That's in my head now, like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, it's amazing, right? Like, how people can be, like, creative. Like I say, my brother, right? Total lunatic. Kurt. Big shout out to Kurt. He gave me all his poems, right, to keep from. And just recently I gave him them all back. It was like a shoebox full of them.
Yes.
And his son actually got published, one of his things, one of his poems were published. It was really good. Like, so, you're starting out, you're writing all these things down. What was your first sort of book that you wrote?
The first one was Inside the Square Circle, which was really was like a biography, because I wanted to inspire other people by writing a story about somebody who had gone through what I had gone through, and managed to achieve something. You know, because I ended up as a North Eastern Counties champion. I was a semi-finalist.
Is that where you're boxing?
With the boxing, yeah. I was a North Eastern Counties champion.
What age were you then? Can you remember?
I think I would have been about 12 or 13. It was 1972, so wait a minute. I'm trying to think. Go back. I think I was 14 at the time. So anyways, I won that, and then I won the, I was Northumberland and Durham champion and Scottish champion when I went through to the semi-finals of the National Association of Boys Clubs Championships. And the likes of Jeff Decker and Isaac Decker and all, David Ferguson, Billy Wilson.
I remember Fergie.
Yeah, well, we were all boxing then at the time, you know. It was a big squad of us, and we used to all spar together, you know. And we took no prisoners. I mean, the spar sessions were like real fights.
Fergie was like the bad lad that people were frightened of.
He was.
One of my mates used to knock around with me. He's called Sailor.
Oh yes, Paul.
I'm not sure of his first name. Not Stephen.
No,
Stephen
right.
Sale.
Stephen Sales, right.
Yeah.
Right.
He was mates with Fergie.
Oh, right.
But what were you saying, sorry?
So, as I say, we'd go to all these tournaments together, and we'd be boxing, you know, 2-3 times a week, you know. And they wanted us on the shows because they were always guaranteed a good fight, you know. And all we were fighting for were these little
cups,
medals and things, you
medals,
know.
aye.
And I remember going to the Ashton Welfare Club, and it was just shortly after England won the World Cup, and the two Charlton brothers were there, Jackie and Bobby.
I know where we're going now.
Yeah, so I'd won this fight, and I went up to get me prize, and Jackie Charlton gave us this box with this jam dish in, and I'd seen it in Woolworths, and it was only about 5 shillings, this jam dish, and I didn't want it. And I thought I wanted one of them bronze, there was a like bronze statuette things. And I said, I says, can I not have one of those? He went, yeah, son. He says, I'm not here to buy the trophies. He says, I'm here just presenting them. You know? So I didn't think anything of it. And I went back into the changing rooms and I started getting changed again into me ordinary clothes. And in he walked. And then days when you boxed, you got a little plate with 2 sandwiches on, you got 2 sausage rolls, and you got a cake or something, you know. That was part of your refreshments in a glass of lemonade. It was like a half a lemonade you got. Anyways, I'm sitting and I put my put me trousers and stuff on, and in walks Jackie Charlton. I mean, he was tall guy, Jackie, hadn't he? I mean, when I was 11, he looked like a giant compared to me. And he went, "Here, son, put that in your bag, saying out." So it was the bronze statuette.
All right.
You know? So I stuck it in my haversack. I used to have a haversack then. Put it in my haversack. And he looked at my table and he went, and he just picked up 2 of my sandwiches and winked at us like that and walked out. So years later, I'd retired from boxing then. I was fishing on Kidda Lake, you know.
I'm sure they like fishing, didn't they?
Yeah, well, Jackie did. He used to do a lot of salmon fishing and things. So I was fishing for trout, and he come along and he says, "What you using for bait, son?" I says, "You not remember me, will you, Jack?" And he went, "Should I like?" I says, "Aye." I says, "You presented me with a 7 and a tanner jam dish." I says, "Years ago." He says, "Oh, yeah." He says, "I remember that now, you know, vaguely." And I went, "Oh, yeah." I says, "And you gave us a bronze statuette." I says, "And I've kept it, I've still got it." And he went, "Oh, lovely, great, son." Anyways, later that day, we weighed all our fish in and what have you.
Yeah.
And I bought 5 raffle tickets, or 50 pence each, I think. And I won 5 prizes. In Jackie, 5 prizes with the 5 raffle tickets I had. And one of them was this great big salmon net. There was a fishing reel. There was a fishing rod, which I got. There was some like tackle, you know, like line and hooks and things like that. Anyways, Jackie Charles says, "You know what it is?" He says, "I've spent 20 quid on tickets and I've never won a prize." He says, "And that bugger there," he says, he's only paid for 5 tickets and he's won 5 prizes. So I says, "Oh, well, Jackie, you can have anything you want. I'll give you one of the prizes if you want it." He says, "Well, can I have that salmon net?" I says, "Aye, no bother." So I got up off the table and I walked towards him with the salmon net, and I looked on his table and they had a little buffet going on their table, right?
I know.
So I handed them the salmon net like that, and I took 4 sandwiches off his plate, and I winked at him like that. I went back and I sat doing.
That's funny, like.
So I thought, well, payback time, you know. But yeah, good stuff.
Aye, good story that, like, a very good story. So you mentioned that you won something.
Yeah, I won the schoolboy championship, the North Eastern Counties championship, and then I went to the National Association of Boys Clubs and got to the semi-finals there. I was beaten by somebody from Midlands way, somebody called Lee, and I thought I should have won the fight, but I didn't. And the likes of Albert Robinson and Isaac Decker got to the final and they won. You know, they won the finals. But
Isaac Decker's a name I know.
Isaac.
And Jeff.
Yeah. Did you know that Jeff Decker never actually won a national title?
No.
He fought Joey Wainwright, who's a good schoolboy, and lost to him, I think, twice. And then he fought Pat Cowdell as well and lost to Pat Cowdell. And then in the ABAs, he fought Tony Willis. You know, these guys you mightn't even know the names of, but
I don't.
he fought Tony Willis, who went on to become a professional boxer like Jeff did. And he was robbed off Tony Willis, not once, but twice. But Jeff was an exceptional amateur boxer.
I remember at the time, I don't know if I've told you in there or here,
yes,
about how he was on this, he was working for the council.
Oh, yes.
And I was working with him.
Yeah.
And at the time, I remember the big spin was he's going to go for the Olympics.
Yes.
That was a big thing at the time.
Yeah, that's why he fought Tony Willis twice.
All right.
You know, well, George Gilbody was the welterweight champion at that time, and he had to get past him. But yeah, I don't think he ever fought George Gilbody. As I say, he ended up getting beat off Tony Willis twice, and which he should have won. He should have got the decision, but he didn't. And he would have ended up meeting George Gilbody. Well, I think he would have beaten George. He was a better boxer. He was a class boxer. But when he turned professional, they changed him from a boxer into a fighter. And it was his detriment. He was never, ever a fighter. He was a
boxer.
He was a lovely, skillful boxer, Jeff. you know. And to me, I rate him as one of the best amateurs ever to come out of North Shields.
Oh, definitely.
Other than Paul Charters. Paul Charters was a good amateur as well.
Oh, he's a good lad.
And ended
Big
up...
shout out to Paul. We love you.
Good mate. I mean, I see Paul quite frequently.
I've known him for fucking years.
He works for the council and I see him regularly, and he's a lovely lad, Paul.
He's lovely. I'll tell you what, I was shocked when he done the podcast with me. He said he had dementia.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know whether he wanted to talk about it or not, but he says, yes, I'm going to talk about it as part of the whole thing.
Mm.
And he says that he was worried about how he come across as just be yourself.
Yeah.
I've
been lucky in a way because, you know, having Joe as my coach and Pat Connors, who are good coaches, you know.
Yeah, he was there when I went there.
I learned a lot about defence and how to avoid punches by just slipping and bobbing and weaving. Keep your head moving. Joe used to put your hand up like that. He used to say, hit that. You know, hit me hand. And I used to hit it, you know. And how many times you hit it? 3. He says, right, hit it now. you know, and I couldn't hit it. And then he said, if that's your head, he says, if you keep it stationary, you'll get hit every time.
Yeah.
He says, but if you keep it moving, you know, he says, you won't get it, you know. So that was a valuable lesson I learned, you know, through boxing.
You know what's you know, this, who's the champion now, the heavyweight, what's his name? That Iranian, Ukrainian.
Usyk.
I can't believe that he's beaten fucking people like Tyson Fury.
Yeah. You don't
you
don't have to be big to be strong. I keep saying that, looking like David and Goliath.
Yeah.
You know, but boxing, if you've got the skills and the footwork to keep out of the road of big men,
I mean, someone
you
like
can
that,
wear them down, you know.
Anthony Joshua, right? He's a fucking big dude, isn't he?
Yeah, he's massive.
And he got beat.
He did, yeah.
Was it twice?
Twice, yeah, twice off Usyk.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
He must be amazing.
Yeah, he's a clever boxer, Usyk. He's, you know, give him more credit than people he's worth. You know, I think he's a great boxer, me. He's going to be fighting Dubois again.
Is that the one that hit him in the stomach or something?
Yeah, and the one that he said was a low blow, which I don't think it was. I thought it was a legal blow. Yeah. I thought it was on the belt line, but I think Usyk played on it and got the decision. He got the decision. Well, he got a reprieve, shall we say?
Yeah.
He got time to recover, and then when he recovered, you know, he went out and he done the job. You know, so he ground Dubois down and ended up stopping him, I think.
I must admit, right, because like I ain't no boxing fan and all like that, but these big fights I do pay interest to, especially in the UFC. I love UFC. If they're good, like I'll watch them.
Well, I you know, all the big fights, and I like to go to. You know, I go to the ones in Newcastle and try and support the local lads as well, and the amateurs. I still go there to the local shows, mainly over in. I used to go to a place called the Shack. Which is still going now. That's over in, excuse me, that's just through the tunnel.
Yeah.
On the other
Tyne
side.
Tunnel.
It's near Bolden, I think Bolden Colony.
I used to work there.
Yeah, it's near there. And I've been there in the Neon Social Club where I boxed myself, you know, boxing Neon Social Club umpteen times, you know, when I was a young'un. And as a junior and a senior boxer, so I've been right through from, you know, they call me a veteran as well because, you know, I had, close to 200 fights, so...
Get away.
Oh, yeah, altogether, yeah.
Check this out, right? Andy has a disability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
200 fights.
Oh, I like.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot, yeah.
I have people a lot, especially on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
People whining on about this and about that, and they can't do this and they can't do that. Now, I've made TikToks about it and saying, look, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Oh, yeah.
You're fucking evidence of that, like. Do you know what I mean?
As I say, if you want it badly enough, you'll do it.
Oh, I
you know, nothing will stop you. I mean, somebody told me you'll never climb mountains. You know, so I went and I did the Helvellyn, I did Scarfield Pike, you know. I've done Helvellyn 3 times, to be honest with you. Right. I've done Blencathra Sharp Edge, you know, I've done Haystacks, Green Gable, Great Gable. You know, I've done them all. I've done loads of things that people said I would never do. Canoeing, you know, I learned how to do canoeing I went on an outward bounce course, learned how to do canoeing, you know.
Yeah.
I've taught myself how to play guitar. You know, you can do anything if you put your mind to it, you know.
You know, that's right. I say this, it's like a quote that I remembered. Negative people will give you a million reasons why they can't do something, but positive people come up with solutions so that they can do these things. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Like,
yeah. When people said to me, I mean, my teacher, I had one of these teachers from Ralph. He's give you an example of what he said. He says, Patterson, he says, I want you to learn your maths. He says, because when you leave this establishment, he says, you'll need to be able to add up your dole money. And that sort of sums it up for me. And I thought, well, that was the hopelessness of it, you know, of coming from an area that had, you know, unemployment,
I'm sure
crime, you know,
I'm living the same life as you because I was in Norham High when I was there.
Yeah.
There's a teacher called Sprott, pops his face cunt, right? And he sat me down and he goes, you'll never amount to nothing, you'll be in prison all the time.
Yeah.
This, that and the other.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Sprotty, I know you're dead.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think there's a couple of my teachers still alive. I think Mr. Lawrence, I can't know if you remember him. He was a massive guy. He played cricket for Tynemouth, but he had hands like that. His hands were huge.
Massive.
And he used to have this big blackboard ruler, and he would bend you down in the corridor and welt you with this ruler and send you halfway down the corridor. But he was I met him years later, and he shook my hand. You know, he'd obviously been following me in the papers and that. And me boxing career, and he said to us, Patterson, you've done really well. And I think that was another thing that I felt, well, great, you know, at least somebody's recognised us, you know. And Bernard Crutchley was another guy. He lives in New Zealand now, and I think he's in his late 80s now. Bernard Crutchley called him, and he was my last form teacher, and he straightened me out big style, him, you know. And he said, Patterson, he says, if you want anything in life, he says, you're gonna have to work hard for it.
Aye.
And he said something to me, you know, it took a long time before I understood what it meant. He said, carpe diem, my boy, carpe diem. And I went, what does that mean? It was Latin, you know. I mean, we never taught Latin at school.
No.
And it was years later I heard somebody mention it. I says, what does that mean, carpe diem? And it means seize the day.
All right, seize the day.
And I've lived by that ever since. Yeah. You know, I try and cram in as much as I can in the time allotted, you know what I mean? So I don't waste me time, you know?
Yeah.
Everything has to have a meaning with me.
Same with me.
Yeah.
Fucking, the way I look at it, right? I reckon I've got 2 more decades left. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to do every single thing that I want to do before I pop it.
Well, I might have 1 decade left if I'm lucky.
Right.
If him up there...
I see now, like, I see 93-year-olds who are fucking clued up, you know, and they're well tuned in.
Well, I lost my mum in April of this year.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
My mum was 92, and I'd like to dedicate this podcast to her.
Oh, totally, 100%.
Because obviously I wouldn't be here without her. But poor soul died.
That's my biggest fear, you know. Yeah. Like, I love my mother so much. And all through the bad times that I've had with me mental health, she was the only person I could talk to or turn to, you know. And I'm like, it's a fucking huge dread that I've got. When she passes away, I'll just fucking crumble and fucking kill myself or something like that.
I've been there myself with mental health, so I know what you're talking about. I mean, I've had depression, severe depression. When I had an accident at work in 1986, and a doctor turned around to me and said, you'll never box again, take up knitting. That's what he said to me.
What a cunt.
Aye. So, you know, I went into a deep depression, honestly, and I tried to take my own life, you know, so...
the parallels are unreal.
I had to go see a psychiatrist, obviously, and it was my wife's mother that helped me. She told me to seek help, and which I did, and tried to straighten me out because I was in a right dark place, you know. Yeah. You know what it's like, Brian. You've been there yourself.
I've been in.
I think when you've been used to doing something all your life and you've been then told you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew I couldn't box forever. Don't get me wrong, I was 30
Yeah.
years of age when I retired. But when somebody tells you can't do something anymore, it's a bit of pill to swallow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding was a bit later for me.
Yeah.
But I've been sectioned and put in mental hospital 4 times. The last 3 years, last year, year before that, and the year before that, I was in St George's, Morpeth Mental Hospital. You know, so I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's my fear, because I tried to take my life maybe 2-3 years ago. That's when I was putting Morpeth. But for me right now, I say 6 months ago, I was in a deep depression for 6 months.
Yeah.
And when I come out of it 6 months ago, it's like I'm hypermanic all the time.
Yeah.
This is why I'm trying to get everything because I don't know how long this is going to last.
Yes.
You know, and I told you I finished my theory that I've been working on for 24 years. Now I can get back to me fucking real life.
That's a real achievement in a way. I mean, you're spending 24 years of your life doing something that you feel really passionate about. That's credit to you, mate. I think that's brilliant. Honestly, I do.
But I can see the parallels between me and you. It's just fucking unreal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been sectioned. That's one thing I can say. I was able to get help, you know, because of Carol, my wife, and her mum, you know, who helped me tremendously. I mean, Carol still helps us now. You know, she guides me, and she's me rock. You know, I must admit. She's great. You know, without her, I think I'd be nothing. You know, I mean, but she tells us what I should do, and you know, and what I shouldn't do, obviously. And I follow what she says. You know, she says jump, and I say how high. She's always been the boss in our relationship, and you know, and I don't argue with her. She's a good woman, you know, and I kind of follow her. You know, we've been married for 47 years coming up. And she's great, you know. I kind of follow.
That's amazing. It's fucking really, really good. For me, you know, the worst thing about mental illness for me is I overthink everything to the nth degree.
Right.
And when I'm dealing with my physics shit, that's fantastic because I can take it to different levels.
Yes.
But everybody who knows me, I've argued with every motherfucker. Everybody I work with, but I just don't mean it, you know?
No.
And what happens is, that it happens all the time. If I've been nasty to someone or horrible or had an argument with them, the aftermath of that is the guilt that I feel.
Yeah.
And it's crushing.
The
guilt, you know?
Yes.
Because I think, fuck. I do want to upset people.
Yeah, we always...
I can't help it. Because I'm on the fucking defence all the fucking time.
Yes.
And these people are thinking, what the fuck's going on, yeah? And it's all me, you know?
Yeah.
But your wife's a credit. You know that thingy Welsh, the lass?
Yes.
Is that
Dennis Welsh.
Dennis Welsh.
That's his daughter.
Aye.
Yeah, I met her. She came round the factory once, and I met her when she was only about, should have been about 12 or 13 then, I think, at the time. Yeah, Dennis Welsh.
I remember when I used to go up that way.
Yes.
Because I used to go from Wallsend Road down to Northam High.
Oh, yes.
There was also a Rolls Royce outside.
Yes. He had a Bentley outside. He used to have a Bentley.
That.
Yeah, he had a Bentley. And drove a Bentley. But,
and she tried to put across that she's working class.
Yeah.
Fuck. Do you know what I mean?
She's born with a silver spoon to go, I think.
Right.
Yeah. But she never went without food like we did.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
Fuck me.
Yeah, I was lucky I went to school on a piece of bloody dripping bread when I was a kid.
I must admit, my mom used to get Weetabix and these buns from the bottom ridges.
All right.
What was it called again? I forget the name of this store,
Yeah.
but we used to go in there and get the buns were warm.
Right, was that Purvis's? Did he go to Purvis's?
I think so, aye.
Yeah, Purvis's. Purvis's used to sell lovely pies and fresh baked buns. And my dad would, you know, if he was in a good mood, he would bring some in, and we used to be able to go to school with something on my stomach, rather than no,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the kids these days don't know they're born.
Oh, aye.
To go without food, to go without, pocket money, we never got pocket money.
You know how much I got?
Yeah.
10 pence.
I had a paper round, and I got 12 shillings and sixpence on the paper round.
Yeah.
And my mother took 17 and 6. And my mum took 12 shillings and sixpence off me, right, to help the household.
Aye.
You know. And my brother worked for £1. I always remember he worked for £1, and he got 10 bob. But I got 5 bob. You know.
So yeah, all these figures you're shoving out.
Yeah.
What's a bob? It's a 5 pence, isn't it?
It's like 5p, yeah. Right. 12 shillings and sixpence would have been the equivalent of about 75 pence a week. Right. And we did papers morning and night, you know, for that kind of money.
Can you remember when they changed the decimal?
Yes, 1971. Yes.
Similarly, I remember it well because it was like.
Well, I had just started work on a fish quay. That's how I know. You used to get your wages, and when you got your wages, there was a little brown packet that had all the holes in like that.
Aye.
And you could see the coins. There was like coins inside.
Aye.
You know, and you could count the note. Well, there was only 2 notes in my packet. Because when I first started work, I only worked for £7 a week. Yeah. That's all I worked for, you know. And my mum used to stand outside waiting for me to get me pay. And she used to take the packet off us and give us £1. So I was working all the week from 6 in the morning until 7:30 at night every day, right, for £1 a week. So I made my money by going to the Guyana Works, which was a fertilising plant. Mm-hmm. And I used to put the barrels of offal, fish offal, on the wagon. Aye. And take it up the bank to the Guyana Works. And you went in there and there was blue bottles by the thousands, honestly, and it stunk to high heaven. But if I took the barrels of offal, you used to get a chitty off them for each barrel. Yeah. And at the end of the week, the lads used to give me half a crown, you know.
What's that?
For doing it. It's 12 and a half pence. The equivalent of now half crown.
You're fucking ancient, aren't you?
I know. That's what I'm saying. I can remember all these things. And it's funny, you know, even today, I still convert back into the old money, and I think a Mars bar now is costing you 10 bob. I remember having a 10 shilling note and going to the pictures.
It is a bob a 5 pence or a 10 pence?
A 10 shilling note was 10 shillings, so it was like 50 pence.
50 pence.
50 pence. So for 50p, I could go to the pictures. I could come out the pictures, go to the fish and chip shop and get fish and chips, and a massive bottle of Bars lemonade.
I don't know if you're older than me, aren't you? Quite right.
Yeah.
When I was a kid on a Saturday, we used to get the pictures, the Gormont.
That's right, the Gormont, yeah.
It was fucking amazing.
Well, I did. I used to win. I was a good singer when I was young, you know. Aye. And I was on television twice for singing in 1967.
Oh, yeah?
I was on a programme called Singalong. And I was on another programme called Junior Showtime. And
way before my time.
Way before your time, yes. But David Hamilton was the presenter of the shows.
David Hamilton, he was he not a DJ?
He was a presenter and DJ, yeah.
I remember him.
Yeah, he used to be with Ken Dodd, I think, in a couple of shows with Ken Dodd. But I could have been a good singer. I've been in a couple of groups, still sing now. I'll be going there on Monday to the Monks Eaton Arms, actually, because I have a songwriters night and I have a blues night. And I go in there and the lads write songs for me and I sing them, you know. Yeah. I sing the songs for them. I was like a boy soprano. I had a high voice when I was young. And
your balls dropped.
Yeah, I'm more like a tenor now. I sing like a tenor now. But yeah.
I love music, like, because obviously I'm a music producer as well.
Yes.
And behind me, or behind you,
yes.
I did 9 albums.
Wow.
But
well, I've just heard a couple of them on your thingy there that you've done your physics project, and they were really good. Yeah, I was just saying it'd be great for boxers to train to that sort of music. It's got a bit of rhythm to it, you know.
It's just like, I would imagine me and you are very similar. We're very creative. So, what, like, you know, you're writing. How did you get sort of like, how did you just do a little bit now and then, or did you just say right?
No, when I after I had the accident at work and I went to college, I wanted to learn how to write properly, and learn English. So I went to college and I did an English A-level, English literature and English language. And when I passed that, I felt then qualified to be able to write properly, you know, instead of putting and the or I did or I said or whatever. I was able to construct proper, yeah, proper sentences, you know.
Oh, fuck that.
And
I rely on a spell check or predictive texting.
I'm trying to write in the Geordie dialect, you know. It's I still use the Geordie dialect for some of the characters that I write about, because obviously all my books are related to the Northeast. You know, in a time scale and of a period that are no longer there now. So in itself, each one of my books is a piece of history. You know, which in my opinion should be published and treasured, because once they're gone and I'm no longer around, you know, it would be great for kids to look and say, well, I remember, you know, that's what the way it was in that time.
You were telling us before that your sort of writing's post-war.
Yes, I do. I write, well, the story I've just written and my first novel I got published was called Like Mother, Like Son. And that starts off during the Second World War. You know, where a young girl goes and she's from a strict Catholic family and goes to Yorkshire as a telecommunications officer and falls in love with a Spitfire pilot. And he's sent off on a dangerous mission and he's missing in action, you know. And she doesn't know whether he's alive or dead. But anyway, the Like Mother, Like Son was based on 3 families from North Shields.
What?
Yeah, but they all live completely different lifestyles, as you will discover, you know. And Margaret Watson, or she becomes Margaret Kinnear because she marries someone else, has got a secret, and that's only revealed later on in the story, you know.
Well, you're not going to tell them now.
No.
Well, I've no spoiler alerts yet.
No. So if you want to read about it, you're gonna read the book.
You've done plays as well, haven't you?
I have. Yes, I've written 26
That to me
plays.
is like very interesting.
Yes. Well, I went to see a production of Tom Hadaway's The Filleter Machine down at the old Lowlights, and it was only 26 minutes long.
Right.
You know, and I was sitting there like, and I thought, right, the second act's going to come on in a minute.
And that was
And
it.
everybody started clapping and shaking hands, you know. And I says, when's the second act coming on? And they said, no, that's it, the play is over. And I thought, this play needs something, you know. It needs a follow-up, you know. So I wrote the play called The Redundant Blade, right?
Is that to do with the...
And it was to do with the filleting machine, because when the filleting machine came in, all the filleters on the door, on the fish quay, were then made redundant. You know, they were surplus to requirements. The machine could fillet the fish faster than a person could fillet the fish manually. I mean, it's still done in some fish stores on the fish quay, but they're few and far between now. The fishing industry is virtually non-existent now.
There used to be loads of photos of filleters and that.
Oh, yes.
You know, like in
stripped to the waist. In the summer we stripped to the waist, and in the winter, you know, you had to put your hands in the freezing cold water. You know, it was a hard job. I'll not say it was easy, because it wasn't. Had a lot of lifting involved. I used to kneel and weigh these salmon and grilse and trout for the Burgess lorries coming in. We had hundreds of them, and we used to have to nail them all down. Put, you know, the weights of the salmon and the grilse and the trout, how many was in the box, and then they were stacked. And then when the Burgess lorries come, we had to help them load them onto the wagons, and then they were taken away, sent to Grimsby, Hull, and all over the country. Scotland, some of them went to Scotland.
What about your play though?
He's
going for the fucking tangent.
Oh, I'm away again, yes. The play, The Redundant Blade, as I say, I had it on at... I came home that night after seeing the fillet machine, and I thought, right, I'm gonna write this play, and I hadn't an idea for the title at the time, and I just started writing it, you know, in longhand. Got the characters, the Rutters was the main family there. And I wrote this play and I thought, right, I'm going to type it out now. So I got myself a computer, a second-hand computer.
Yeah.
And I started to type it out and I printed it. I got it printed. And I sent it to Tom, what's his name? Peter Mortimer from Collarcoats.
No, I don't know.
Well, he lives around the corner. He's not far from you, from the station. He used to have a big pair of lips on his door with a tongue sticking out. He's a bit of a, well, how can I say this, eccentric, you know.
Do you know that image that you just mentioned?
Yes.
Do you know I've seen that before?
No.
The Rolling Stones. It was like.
Yes.
It was like.
Yes.
Like an iconic symbol.
It was. Yes. Yeah.
Maybe.
Anyways, no, this was long before.
All right.
The Rolling Stones album, and he's got a thing on his roof, you know, in like a coat hanger, but it's got "Keep your feet firmly in the clouds," you know, on his chimney pot, you know. So when you go past on the metro, you can see this thing on the metro.
Okay.
Oh, you can see it. Have you look? As you just before you get to the boat, you know, the Tamworth Boat Lake. If you look on there, you'll see it on the roof, you know. But anyway, I did this play and I showed Pete Mortimer it, and he said, yeah, it's a good play, you know, bloody blah. Needs tightening up and what have you, and he gave us some advice. And he said you should come along to one of me classes I do, you know, for budding playwrights, you know.
Yeah.
So we went along and I learned a lot from Pete. Pete was great, you know, helped me with me plays. And I found conversation, you know, for me, for writing plays and dialogue was quite easy. Yeah. A lot of people find it hard to write dialogue, but I don't.
Yeah.
You know, I find writing dialogue quite simple, you know, because I can put myself, because I was, well, you could call me a bit of a nosy parker, but I used to listen to people in like, on the bus, you know, or I'd listen to people in cafes or, you know, wherever I was, there was always something going on. People hanging out, washing out, and they would be talking to their neighbours.
Aye.
And this is the banter I used to get, you know.
Aye.
And that's how I learned me trade.
Yeah.
You know. And people of my generation can empathise with that. They can read it and say, "Oh yeah, I remember that." They'll tell me when they've read the story, because I put my stories on No Shields Nostalgia for people to read.
Right.
You know.
I know what you mean, aye.
And of course I get feedback from that, and they turn around and say, "Hey Terry, we really enjoyed your story. I remember when we did this, that, and I remember that place, and I remember him," because what's so unique about my books is I use real people as characters.
Yeah.
You know.
I just want to stop you there. How many books have you done? How many plays have you wrote?
To date, I've written 55 books and 26 plays.
26 plays.
Three of those have been, well, I'll correct myself there. 2 have been on stage at several venues. But the third one got scuppered because of COVID.
Right.
COVID broke when it was supposed to be put on at the Exchange in North Shields. And we lost all the cast. So we had to wait until COVID was, you know, it was safe to go out again and, you know, mix with other people without having to wear masks and all the rest of it. And I got another cast together, and it was due to go on again at the Exchange.
Right.
I mean, having lost a bit of money the first time, I had to put money forward again to book the venue, you know, which isn't cheap. If anybody knows about staging a play, they'll know what I'm talking about. It is not a cheap venture. You know, you're talking about the printing costs for tickets, posters, you know, you have to book the venue, you know. Hopefully you get your money back off the ticket sales, you know, that's what you hope for.
Do you know the book that you gave me?
Yes.
That's one you published yourself?
I published that book myself, yes. And it cost me nearly £5,000.
What?
Yeah, nearly $5,000, yeah.
I'm gonna put that book up here so you can see what it is.
Yes.
And also, is there anything else you want to say?
Well, what I'm doing is I would like to.
That's what you want.
I'd like somebody to come along and say to me, we'll take your books off you and publish them as a part of history.
Is that what you're looking for? A publisher?
I'm looking for a publisher that'll come along, a publisher and an agent maybe to help us out and say, look, we'll put these books in print for you so it doesn't cost me money, because I think, as I say, they've all got historical value, you know, and, you know, because I couldn't afford to publish them all anyway. And they're there as a piece of Northeast history, North Shields history. Because I write about all these places in the Northeast, you know, that are no longer there now, you know.
So I'm going to put that image of your book up now.
Okay.
I'm going to put the emails in the description.
Yeah.
All I've got left to say is subscribe to the channel and all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.
Share and subscribe, you fucking divvies.